Here are the cards on the table. Solutions 8, along with every other agency I know, by the way, is bleeding clients.
Let's see if we can, hold on to them, and then the business dies off and it's like, well, what was that for? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Blood from a turnip. That's the other thing too, is just the responsibility we have to entrepreneurs to tell them the truth. We're shifting our entire business model, which makes me feel like such an epic hypocrite. Because I spent the last like 3 years talking so much about all the agencies that are like, oh, they try to do everything and be everything for everybody. Welcome to your Daily Google News. It's Kasim with one of the best, the brightest, the smartest, Caden Thompson. How you doing, buddy?
good, man. It's been a while. How you doing?
Yeah. It's been a long time since we shot a video together. I think it's been like a year.
Oh, at least a year.
Yeah.
It's been a really, really long time. I remember first time when I hopped on, I was like starstruck. And now it's kind of like
That makes
flipping back
sense.
to like we were doing what was it, the strategist meetings. And then I think that was the last time that we had a call together.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it feels like a reunion. And this call is going to be quite revealing, I think, in a lot of ways. We just got finished putting our itinerary together. And the last words you said to me before we hit record was, well, honesty is the best policy. So here are the cards on the table. Solutions 8, along with every other agency I know, by the way, is bleeding clients. In October of 2022, when we sold our agency, we had almost 200 clients. And today we've lost close to 40% of them. And we're losing them for reasons that are in many cases inexplicable. I've had 4 clients declare bankruptcy in the last 90 days. I haven't had a client declare bankruptcy on us in the last 2 years. It's unreal. So there's like an economic environment that nobody wants to talk about for some reason. I did a perpetual traffic episode where I claimed that I think we're in a shadow recession that nobody's talking about. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but there does seem to be like a lot of the clients that we're losing are like can't fulfill on products, e-commerce stores that just can't get products, or people that don't, they have positive ROAS per se on an LTV basis, but they don't have the cash flow in order to keep going. Some people bringing it in-house. We're not losing people to performance really at all. Which to be honest with you, I'd kind of, as a business owner, I'd prefer. I'd rather lose a client to performance because at least then I know internally I can correct it. And so we're shifting our entire business model, which makes me feel like such an epic hypocrite. Because I spent the last like 3 years talking so much shit about all the agencies that are like, oh, they try to do everything and be everything for everybody. You need to niche down. And at the time it was true, but it was true because when you niched down, you could actually see what was going on within your niche. And now with iOS 14 and first party data and the death of cookies and all that shit, and the fact that Google and Meta continue to lie more, we've had to zoom out and we had to go full funnel. So really what you are, Caden, is you're my bodyguard. You're here to protect me from the rabid listener as I explain the 180 that we're about to do as an agency. Like, we're going from the Google Ads agency, which we were very successful at. Dude, I think I was talking to a friend about this who told me this, and then now I'm parroting it back. I think we built the biggest Google Ads agency in the world. Because most agencies weren't Google Ads specific. So as far as a Google Ads specific agency, nobody got as big as we did. But, and you said something else before this, then I'll stop talking and just hand the mic to you. You said something else before we started recording, which I really appreciated. You said that, I'm going to try to quote you and then you fix it. Okay. You said that, we used to be able to be responsible for one thing, but now that everything is so interdependent, you can no longer claim responsibility for one thing because you have to rely on so much more. So we have to increase the scope of our responsibility. How did I do quoting you there?
Yeah, no, I mean that pretty much sums up a lot of the issues that we're seeing across just accounts in general, and like communication with clients is like the responsibility of us as marketers is to essentially make a client more profitable. And when you have less tracking and that's going to even be further on based in Q3 for Google, that we can't just look at in-app ROAS or try to equate as much to in-app ROAS to try to see the full picture. We have to look at what's going on in other channels. And when you're an agency that just looks at that one niche, you learn a lot about all these other channels, but then it's like, wait, they're not doing that right. We can do that. Wait,
Right.
we can fix that problem over there. And so you start to notice all these sort of issues that are popping up that are outside of your scope of control. And it makes you think like, well, why don't we just do this? Why are we having to, kind of look for these problems outside of what we're servicing to, go outside of the scope of what we're doing? And so I find it good that we focused on Google Ads because it allows us to get really focused on the actual niche itself and then grow from there so we can notice small correlations that, maybe we wouldn't have if we just threw everything right away. And so it's been a really good baseline for us to kind of build from. And so I think when it comes to the economic situation that people are in right now, where, like you were saying, people are going bankrupt, agencies are trying to find, or not agencies, but clients are trying to find a way to understand what agencies are doing. It's becoming more and more important for us as an agency to educate the client on those things. However, with that being said, since we're pushing global numbers and, overall your bank account essentially, which is the be all end all, it becomes one of those things to where we're the small agency that's pushing for all these little things explaining what's going on. The client's like, I don't want to worry about this stuff.
Mm,
This is too much to think about. And which it should be, right? Like attribution is a nightmare. That's, one of those things that, all these tools work on attribution, but no tool is perfect. And so when it comes to marketing, we've just noticed that, having controlled tests and shifting from us having control over just Google, but us having control over Facebook has turned into really good results. And so when, we look at it from that perspective, it allows the client to be more comfortable with the understanding of, okay, global numbers are great. I don't have to, judge, are you doing your job on Google versus Facebook? I can judge it from the perspective of you're making me more money, you're in control of the attribution, and that's the proof, right?
that's the
And then you
proof.
don't have to learn all the attribution nuances that you've spent years figuring out. You just show them, here's the test, here's the results, and then what clients can argue with what's in their bank account at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the hard part of niching down is even if you're really good at your niche, you're so heavily reliant on other channels, let's say, or other modalities, and it turns you into kind of a tattletale. Because then we
Yeah.
just spend like our whole client interaction is like, hey, your meta agency is screwing up, your analytics agency is screwing up, the organic's not performing the way that you think it is, your CRM's not trying. Like we're just constantly like, here's a problem, here's a problem, here's a problem, here's a problem, and then clients fire us, and you're like, okay, I mean, you didn't want the canary in the coal mine, which part of me is like, I was telling you the truth, but then the other part of me is like, I get it. It's exactly what you're saying. They're like, look, I don't want somebody to tell me about all the problems I have. I want somebody who comes in and provides me the solution. And it reminds me of that meme of the two kissing booths, and one of them says inconvenient truths, and the other one says kind lies, and there's got a great big strong line up against the kind lies. Like you almost want to go back to being one of the agencies that just sells PMAX ROAS. It's like, I
It'd
will
be a lot
crush the
easier.
ROAS game using Performance Max. Nobody's going to be better. Give me your money. And dude, those agencies are actually doing really well. It's so like nobody realizes that they're lying.
For
I don't
now.
even think some of them know they're lying. They're just like,
Yeah.
I press this magic button and ROAS goes up. We're geniuses, like holy shit. So it's
No, it's
it's a complete
true.
reframe.
Definitely. No, it's totally true. And I think I was on a sales call, I think this was about like a month ago. And I think we were one out of, I think, 18 agencies that this person was going through.
Yeah.
And we were the only one that promoted global numbers out of all of that. And everyone else was talking ROAS. Everyone else was pushing, like standard performance max and advantage plus and not looking at the correlations, just going for ROAS as much as possible. And it's like, sure, that might work for a little bit, but if you look at it, extrapolate it out for a long period of time, it's eventually going to eat down and your business is going to be like, what the heck's going on? And you're
Right.
not really going to look at it from the marketing standpoint because the ROAS is doing great because you're going to say, oh, no, the marketing's great. It's got to be my product. It's got to be something else. But the reality is, no, it's a combination of everything. Like your marketing needs that focus that's not just on ROAS. Like you can't live off of LTV forever. You have to go and find new people. Like it's just, growing a business. You got to find new customers. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
So,
So our response is to go full funnel. And at Solutions 8 now, and you've probably maybe seen some hints of this already, but we're doing other channels. So we're doing Meta, but we're also doing Amazon, and we're doing Taboola and Outbrain, and we're doing CRM, and we're doing CRO, and we're doing landing pages, and we're doing everything that all the agencies are doing because we have to. If we don't have the ability to influence the global picture, like you're saying. So you can't sell global numbers. I guess this is what we found out. Here we do, it's come full circle. You can't sell global numbers without selling global services.
yeah.
When we could sell Google numbers, we sold Google services and we did great and we exploded and everybody loved us. But then as the narrative changed and we had to sell global numbers, well, you have to, it's like a stick. If you pick up one end, you have to pick up the other. So here we are, a full funnel agency for the first time in 10 years. Like when did we, I don't know, you know that, right? The story of Solutions 8, we
Yeah,
had
the
8 core
whole
service
eight.
offerings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, so we've contracted and now we're expanding again. It's like an hourglass. It's like an 8. Oh my goodness, Caden.
There you go. It's meant to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, it's meant to be. It's Inception. You know what it reminds me of? I'm a lot older than you, so you might not remember this. Did you ever have a light bright as a kid?
Light bright. Okay, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, I'll Google it so I can bring up the
A
image
light
on
bright.
screen share.
Oh yes, I did not have one, but yes, I
But
do
you
know
know
what
what a
it
light
is.
bright is, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Wow, I'm embarrassed. I should have known what that was.
No, so this is like before Game Boys and shit. Old people had light brights. The thing about where digital marketing is Google Ads is one light. It's one peg. You know what I mean? And so like what we're doing is we're going to this little light bright, we're putting one peg and then Meta's one peg and organics one. You know what I mean? But we can't tell the full picture anymore. And you used to be able to. We used to, with Google all by itself, standalone, you used to be able to actually paint an entire picture, start to finish, end to end, from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, to the beginning of the journey to the end of the journey. You had a full picture. And then it just atrophied. The top of the funnel atrophied first, the beginning of the journey atrophied first, and now we're like relegated to this little teeny tiny corner, and we don't even have the full corner. We just have this one little peg, and we get to tell like one part of the story, and so now we're being forced to zoom out. And I gotta be honest, man, it's so humbling. It's so humbling to like go from, oh, we had a months long wait list, and we were, I still think we are the best Google Ads agency on the planet. And now it's like, oh, we have to reinvent ourselves entirely because technology's changed, the market's changed, the customers changed, the economy's changed. And what we were offering, even though we were the best, Blockbuster was the best video rental agency. It doesn't mean that they're around anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't
So
put us with Blockbuster.
I don't think so either. But it's
But
just,
yeah.
yeah, it's just one of those really interesting lessons from an entrepreneurial perspective. And I think the benefit we have, because I'm seeing a lot of little agencies just burn up. The benefit we have is we're big enough to weather a storm, thank God. Especially given the fact that we've been acquired. They have deep enough pockets to help us figure out what the evolution looks like. But if you're a small agency, um, and you're experiencing what we're experiencing, which we've got a mastermind, You versus Google. By the way, go join You versus Google. It's amazing. For what you get, it's unbelievable. I think it's the most cost-effective mastermind I've ever seen put together. It's really phenomenal, amazing members, and everybody in there is saying the exact same thing. It's like, dude, I'm just seeing like, we had a conversation a week or two ago where I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants to be outed this way, but one of our mastermind members who's also in Driven is like, I've never seen a drier pipeline in my life. And that's about the environment that we're contending with at the moment. I think the pendulum swings back, but not before a bunch of little agencies go away. And
Yeah,
that's what's really
definitely.
interesting too, is you lose 30% of the market, so you lose 80% of the competition. So now there's this big market to be scooped up. So if you're listening to this, some of my advice, just again, as a guy who's been through a couple of cycles now, is just hang on. Don't overextend, don't get desperate, don't do anything stupid, just hang on, but realize that we have to do more. We have to offer more. Another thing that you said before we recorded, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, is the promises have to be bolder. Like you actually have to know what you're doing and you have to commit to some type of like output, some result,
Yeah.
let's say.
No, definitely. I mean, it's the market demands it. I mean, at the end of the day, like you got to follow what the market wants. And so if the market wants more, emphasis on, hey, if you're going to give me global numbers, I need to make sure it's you kind of thing, then that's what we got to do. Kind of, it's one of those things to where it seems like there's sort of the beginning point, like you were saying, and then the end point or the next step in the process of, okay, we start, you see all those beginner agencies. Oh, I'm focused on Google. I'm focused on, ROAS, in-app numbers. Sweet. Oh no, my business is dropping off. Well, my average retention rate is like, 6 months, 3 months, whatever it is. And it's like, if you're growing a business, your average retention rate should be way higher than that, right? Because at
Mm,
that point, you're just looking at, okay, I held on to the business this long and then they went away. And it's like,
and a
why did they go
revolving
away?
door. Dude, you know what our
So,
retention was when we sold? 16 months.
yeah.
That's insane.
And that's
Average
for
agency
one
retention
channel
is,
too.
yeah, average agency retention is 3 months according to HubSpot. We were at 16. Like but you know, the thing we did, man, is God, did we love on people? You know, like we just really treated customers really well. And I think that agencies sort of lost that a little bit. Everybody got real spoiled. It was the land of milk and honey. It was easy to bring customers on. So most agencies were just sales organizations.
Yeah.
You know, fulfillment was half-assed, outsourced, you know, and that'll bite you quick. And you can outsource fulfillment and still do a great, great, great job. We didn't, this is an open air conspiracy, but we didn't do our own Google Ads more for a longer period of time than we did. But we worked with a great agency and we managed them really well. But man, what a great point you just made about retention. And that's true for all businesses. If you're not retaining past the industry benchmark, you're built to fail. It's forced obsolescence.
Yeah, and it's leveraging the uneducated portion of the market that
Yeah.
just knows, hey, this is the common thing to track. Let's just lean into that. And then you realize, oh wait, this doesn't work anymore. And then who knows when, you're gonna be able to say, okay, no, I need to not focus on this, I need to focus on this instead. This is how you grow businesses. So it's like John's been saying before, the ROAS versus the NCAC side of things, long term versus short term, or short term
Mm.
versus long term in terms of growing a business, right? We're thinking of this from a year over year perspective, not a hold on to the client for another 3 months. Let's see if we can hold on to them, and then the business dies off, and it's like, well, what was that for? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Blood from a turnip. That's the other thing too, is just the responsibility we have to entrepreneurs to tell them the truth.
yeah,
You know, I mean, there are
definitely.
some people, and we've done this a lot, where it's like, you don't need to hire us. You need to turn this off. You are hemorrhaging money right now. I don't care that Google says you're getting a ROAS because you're not. And John's been able to prove that. Has he shared his story? I don't know if we're allowed to share this one either. I won't share the client's name. But there was a large client that was going for a massive raise. It was like their Series B or some shit. I don't know what those words mean. I went to public school.
Fancy words, fancy
Yeah,
business words.
fancy business words. They're doing some equity raise with M&A people, um and the executive of the company said, "Hey, I need to show this. Like, I need to show that this." You know the story I'm talking about. I'm trying to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
vague.
I
He's like,
know
"I need to
the
show an
yeah.
increase in profitability," and John's like, "Oh, great, turn this off." And the guy's like, "What?" And he goes, "Dude, I've been telling you guys to turn this off for like the last 18 months. This," and I don't know what it was, but it was like their brand camp. Just to use easy terms, it was like their brand campaign. They're spending six figures on it a month because it showed positive results that their board liked. And John's like, "That's not producing anything." And the guy did.
Mhm.
He's like, and he trusted him, and it was a bold move. And he turned it off, and sure enough, costs went down, profits stayed the same, margins increased, and they got whatever they needed to do. But it was just one of those examples of, and the dude was pissed at himself and his team. He's like, "And we've been doing this for how long?" It's
Yeah.
like, and John's like, "Well, nobody listens to me until it's time to listen to me." So
Or
yeah, that's
John.
John Moran. Um,
It's true though. It's one of those things to where you have access to all these accounts and you kind of learn like what the whole market is doing and what works and what doesn't work. And I think it's one of those things to where it's like you got to leverage that as much as possible. If it works
yeah.
in another account, try it in this. And how does that, interact with one another? So
Do you
learn a
think Google
lot.
Ads has gotten easier in the last 2, 3 years?
I think that Google Ads has stayed the same. I think that the marketing in general has gotten harder.
Hmm.
I think that's what it's come down to. Like the tools themselves have stayed relatively the same. I like attribution obviously has gotten harder, but that's been sort of the lean of like you just learn more, and so there's more to worry about. It's really what
Yeah.
it comes down to. And I think that at least for me personally, that's been my biggest, developing process is understanding when to push, when to pull for certain metrics that the client needs to be profitable. And using Google Ads is sort of one of those things where it's like we already know how this functions, but how does this impact everything else?
Yeah.
So it's
It's,
definitely been an
other
interesting concept,
businesses too
though.
have gotten more sophisticated, and that's a truth that I don't think we've delved deep enough into. Like private equity, these Silicon Valley guys, these Stanford graduate children that come out and just like crack the code on every business. Ecom, even 5 years ago, but ecom 10 years ago, there was a ton of margin. You could make a bunch of mistakes. and
Yeah.
still make you could drop ship shit and still make money. But then you had these Silicon Valley, Stanford tech whiz, nerd, hyper autistic. I'm mildly autistic, so I'm allowed to say that. Like they just came out and they're like, and then they built the triple PhD blueprint for exactly how this shit works. And then it just commoditized everything. There's no margin
Yeah.
because they've perfected it. And so I think that you're right, marketing got harder, and at the same time, businesses got way more sophisticated. And it's just been like it's been really you gotta be good at this shit. You have to have a good offer, you have to have a good business, you have to have good fulfillment, good customer service. Like, you just have to be good, and that wasn't true. Sure, shit wasn't true 10 years ago, really wasn't true 5 years ago. There was still a lot of meat on the bone 3 years ago, but man, you have to be good.
Yeah, and I'm glad for it because that puts us in a better
Kinda,
position, like you
right?
were saying. If majority of the market falls off, you just hold on, like you were saying earlier,
Just hang
and
on.
it just yeah, you'll
Yeah.
survive it, and then you get better from it.
Well, what sucks about it for us, though, is our clients have to be good too, There
Yeah.
used to be 100 plumbers in every city, and now there's 5. Right? There's 100 florists in every city, now there's 5. Like, that's the commoditization of the market. It's
Mhm.
the Pareto distribution. It's the survival of the fittest, and it's always gonna naturally turn into this kind of, I mean, it's what happened with wireless and, telecom, and you're just always it's the what do they call it? It's from the Bible. Is it the James Law or something? "To those with more will be given."
I'm not sure.
I don't
It
know, pull
sounds
up the
like it makes
Bible
sense
law.
though.
Uh, "Will be given." Everybody's like, "Why am I waiting?"
All these quotes.
The
What do they
Matthew
mean, Kasim?
principle? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, but it's just interesting the way that that works and the way that it manifests. So, all that to say, we're zooming out. Solutions Data zooming out. We're reinventing ourselves. We're offering an insane level of services. To be honest with you, it'll never be cheaper than it is right now because we're figuring it out. So there's a sales pitch here. Bad end of the sales pitch. You're a guinea pig. While we know how to do all this shit because everybody knows how to do all this shit, A, and then B, we've already kind of been doing it even though we haven't said we've been doing it. We don't know how to service it. So you're a guinea pig as we figure out the processes and the client management and the approach. But you get way more than anybody's willing to give you for way less than anybody's ever going to charge, and you'll be grandfathered into that pricing. So if you don't want to be a guinea pig, don't hire us. But if you like the idea of, and that's the other thing too, is it's going to be all hands on deck. We're going to throw way more just in terms of human capital, and then of course AI, because the people that bought us have, $1 billion valuation and a ton of AI. Um, we've got the firepower to crack the code and really figure this out. To my agency brethren, who I love dearly and deeply, even though you're competitors, hang in there or don't. And here's the advice that I'll give really, I'll tell you what I did wrong, dude, in my first go round. I tell this story a lot, but I had a business that went under when the banking world collapsed because I was building banking software. And imagine having a fleet of ships. That's what a business is in a lot of ways, right? You have clients and employees and strategic partners or whatever. And if you try to keep the entire fleet afloat for too long, the whole thing goes under. It might make a lot of sense to just pick the one best boat and like Alamo up. And so don't overextend yourself. Don't spend money you don't have. Don't take out loans. It's okay to like wave the white flag. It's okay to quit now. It's okay to go get a job. It's okay to galvanize yourself. It's okay to pay rent and then wait this out. If you don't have the financial backing to ride out a storm, please don't put yourself at risk. I ended up despondent, dude. Like just and some people are like, oh, I have no money for Starbucks. I'm like, no, I had no money for anything. Digging under my car seat for the $1.50 I could spend on a Costco hot dog, not able to pay rent. I lived in a heroin den because I had somebody I loved that was a drug addict. Like, it was the worst time of my life. And it's because I just kept thinking like, roll the dice again, it's going to get better. So I hope that didn't get too touchy feely, but hopefully some people can learn from my mistakes. If you do see an end in sight in terms of your runway, it's all right to opt out now. You can always come back. That's the best part about the agency world, is startup costs are low. So there's no shame in crying uncle, especially if you have payroll to make. Thank God I never missed a payroll, but you have a sacred responsibility to make sure that people work for you get paid. So anyway, that got weird. Caden, last words to you. What advice do you have for clients, agency owners, all that?
I would say just follow the market. Honestly, look for what other companies are offering. try to understand why they're offering it, and then build your own offering from that, right? Don't just copy paste what other people are offering. Look at it from the perspective of what does the client want? What are they getting? Why is this offer showing up more? And then build your own offer from that.
I really like that. It's don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Let the market lead. This is awesome, dude.
Exactly.
You're awesome. Caden Thompson, one of the best and the brightest in the whole wide world. Um, this is Solutions at YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe.
Okay, g'day everyone. Glenn from Solutions 8, and we're shooting this video to introduce to you a new member of the Solutions 8 team and family, Dan Nickus. Now, Dan is a Facebook Klaviyo expert, and as a lot of you may or may not know, Solutions 8